Thanks for joining our webinar. We're actually pretty excited as we have some pretty cool updates for you guys. Right off the bat, I wanted to introduce Zach Soflin, which is our CEO and founder, the big brains behind the whole application. So, and myself, Georgios, I'm the director of customer experience here with Layer. Basically, we have a big group of people that make sure that you have everything you need, and we're always close to our product. So check out our chat. Right off the bat, I wanted to actually, while we're getting started, I would love to know that what software do you currently use, and which layer integration do you want you would love to see with with your software. So whatever software you're using, please feel free to add it to the chat, and so we'll kind of get an idea of what integrations you would hope to see with Layer. So right off the bat, let's kind of do that really quickly. And oops, I lost my mouse there for a second. Cool. We'll just wait, I guess, a little bit. Revit automations. This is already happening, John. I see John Wright saying Revit automations. This is already happening. Other software that you guys are using currently, and you would love to see, Layer connected to. We had some ideas for some feedback for like Power BI and so forth. So any new software that we haven't really connected to other than Revit and Excel that we're mainly interacting with would be kind of like cool to hear about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what we're looking for is we're interested in hearing like what tools you'd love to see Layer work with, either reading data from or writing data from. So in the meantime, we can talk through the product updates.
Let's do that. So you guys, most of our webinars we started with that because we want always to share with you how and where to get the kind of like most common, most recent updates for the product. Actually, the way to access this is from within the app. If you go to the question mark button, then from there you can navigate to the product updates, which is the last selection there. That will actually drive you to a Layer project where we're tracking all the product updates. And basically, we have a couple of views set up for you guys. So all the updates are just just a summary of all the updates that we're working on, and we're basically separating the updates in a couple of ways. We have the new features, which is completely new additions to the software. So Zach, if you could navigate to the new features tab. Basically, that shows you, the Revit model annotations, aggregations. Things are completely new completely like a new addition to the platform. Then we have the product updates, which actually include the items that we're going to be talking today, such as the document view improvements and so forth. And last but not least, we actually are just created the planned features. So we're giving you a little bit of insight of our roadmap. And with that, actually, I wanted to also to have a quick poll where you guys can vote on the most kind of like important updates as you see them for your work. So please feel free to vote on the poll that just came up on your screens. You should see those 5 cards as options. So please feel free to kind of like vote for that. You actually can vote for multiple. So just excited to hear what the crowd has to say about that.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, and last but not least, the second category is the full release notes, and those release notes actually include includes some extra information. So basically, we have some minor improvements in the product that that not necessarily reflected upon they're not categorized as product updates. You can click through those release dates and see minor improvements and bug fixes and so forth. So with that, I'm actually going to pass the baton to Zach. What we'll start with, it's basically he's gonna drive us through we're gonna start with the UX UI improvements, which includes the clickable fields in doc view and table views. And in that, during this time, please feel free to put any questions in the question area or the chat. Question area is mostly applicable, but whatever works for you guys. So with that, I'll pass the baton to you, Zach, and drive us through.
Awesome. Thanks, Giorgio. So today we're going to kind of go through all of the improvements we've made this last month. And like Giorgio said, we'll start with some of the UI UX improvements, where essentially we've really just made it faster for you to accomplish things in the app. So the first one we'll cover is a relatively simple improvement, or seemingly simple improvement, which is now in any table view or document view, you can click and open up items on a cell or a column level. So for example, before when you clicked on an item in table view, it would essentially open up the side panel with the data for that item, and you would have to scroll to find the particular field that you wanted to edit, and then you could proceed to enter a value there. What we've done is we've given you the ability to basically click on the field, and it'll take you right to that field in the sidebar. So you can see that when I click on unit cost here, it immediately takes me to that field and highlights that field for me. So what this does is it makes it a lot easier to edit values quickly. So I can quickly go down this list and edit my unit cost, for example, for all of these items. And it makes a big difference in how quickly you can kind of move through those edits. The same is true for if we look at document view. So I'm gonna navigate to a document view here that I have. Let's go to this product spec sheets, where I'm looking at this product spec sheet for these items, and you'll notice that now there's kind of a light gray background on all of the fields. And that is basically giving you the ability to edit the values for each of those fields. So if I click on like my status, for example, you can see it opens up the sidebar and it immediately scrolls to the status field. So I can quickly change the status of this item. And you can see that as I click on other fields, it's scrolling directly to that field type. So again, a seemingly small improvement, but one that greatly increases efficiency in editing your values here.
Sweet.
All right. So moving on to the next item that we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about some of the document view improvements that we've made as well, beyond just the clickable fields. So I'm going to click into this button to edit this document, and we'll take a look at some of these improvements. So a relatively small improvement that I want to mention is now when you click on an item, like the status field, for example, we now give you the ability to add a highlight color to your text. So I can click here and add a highlight to the label or the value itself. So maybe we want to make this green and make the text white. You can now add a highlight color to these. One of the bigger improvements, though, that we've made is giving you the ability now, though, to set select multiple blocks within a document view and edit them all together. So for example, before, if you wanted to adjust like the spacing between the field value here and the field name and the field value, I would have to come in here and say, okay, adjust the label width to 150. And then I would just click down the line and do this for every single field. And this became quite arduous for many users, especially with really complex document views. And so now what you're able to do is you can now multi-select fields themselves. So I can click on a field, but I can hold down Command or Control. And as I click on other fields or blocks, you can see that it selects all of them together. And so I have these 4 selected, and I can quickly adjust any of these values. So I can quickly say I want the label of all these to be 100 pixels, and maybe I want the text color of my fields to be blue instead. And so then I can close here to close the selection, and you can see that it changed it for all of them. So anyway, we're making it a lot easier to update those values all at once instead of having to do it one by one. One of the more exciting document view improvements that we made is we've added now the ability to conditionally show a container or hide a container. And so I'll walk you through kind of the problem we're solving first with this in general. And that is there are some times where like in this example, we're looking at product specs here, and a product spec sheet for a soft seating or chairs might need to look slightly different than that of a light fixture or a table or something like that. And so the way that teams have kind of solved this in the app recently is just creating separate document views for what it should look like for each of these different types of furniture. And this applies beyond just like product specs, but this is kind of an example where we've had teams that end up with 10 or 20 different document views that they create within a category because they all need to look slightly different. And they basically have to then export all of those to a PDF and then collate them together. And so what we've done is we've added the ability to show a container containing data conditionally. So I'll give you an example here. I've got some these fields here that are kind of specific parameters for my lighting or my light fixtures. And so I don't want to show these on every single spec sheet. I especially don't want to show them on chairs or tables or anything else like that. I only want to show them on light fixtures. But previously, you didn't have the ability to do this. Well, with the changes that we're introducing today, basically I can take this container and select it. And you can see down at the bottom, there is now a section called Visibility Settings. And so what Visibility Settings allows you to do is, if I open that up, I can click here to conditionally hide or show this container. We'll zoom in a little bit to show you. So when I turn this on, I can then choose basically the ability to show when or hide when, and then I can set up a filter. So in this case, I can delete this and go from scratch. This container, basically, I want to show when the type contains lighting. All right, so we're going to zoom back out here. And so you can see what happened is when I turned on that visibility setting, you can see that on my spec sheet, since I'm looking at a chair right now, you can see I have this little note off to the side that says one container that's hidden. So I can still view the content while I'm in this edit mode here of this container by clicking here to toggle it on. And you can see that it shows me the container. It says that it's hidden on this page, but then it shows me these fields. So I can continue to edit it here. Now, if I toggle over to a light fixture though, have a lamp. There we go. You can see that now it shows it by default and shows all those properties. And so what this effectively allows you to do is it allows you to eliminate all of those separate document views that just might need to look slightly different based on the type, and combine them all into one document view that then when you export that PDF, it's going to spit it out already collated for you. So if I close my editor here, you can see that as I toggle between my specs, like if I go back to my desk here, that container isn't showing. And when I toggle on to the lamp, it's now showing. So again, that really is to help kind of create custom settings within a document view without having to create multiple document views and having to like manually collate those things after the fact. Okay, so
very cool. Yeah, sorry. Thanks for showing that, Zach, and thanks for actually making also the use case. It's actually very cool that we've seen that basically we've released the feature maybe a couple of days now, and we've seen a lot of the use of our users already like utilizing it. So it's great. It's great to see when you're releasing something that gets like traction right off the bat. So yeah, thanks for sharing, Zach.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Did you? Let's see. So what do we have next? So next would be the Revit automations. If you're done with the document improvements.
Yep. Yeah. Let's talk about Revit automations quick, because that's another feature that we're adding here. So as some of you may know, we've recently introduced automations in Layer, which basically allow you to set specific triggers and take action on those triggers. And so what we're doing with our Revit parameter syncing, that's been a feature in Layer for quite a while now, is we're bringing that syncing in line with our automations. And so previously, within a category, you could basically click on a category, go to category settings, and you could basically create these what are called parameter sync rules that allowed you to sync up a layer field with the Revit parameter. Again, to bring in line this feature with where we're going with automations and to give us more flexibility, we're now moving that to automations itself. So I'm gonna show you quickly how we can create this. But first, let me kind of set up the use case here. So the example that we're gonna work through here is basically I have a category of room data sheets, and I'm gonna navigate to these data sheets and just look at basically the data related to this. So basically I have these like room types, like a classroom, a computer lab, a conference room. And basically I want to take my, if I open this up, my default finishes for all of these room data sheets. And I want to populate my room finish schedule in my model with these finishes. So you can see here in my room data sheet, I've got these kind of default finishes here. And basically I want to take these values and apply them to all of the rooms that match this data sheet in my model. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to basically set up an automation to watch for every time my base finish changes in my room data sheet to update the Revit rooms associated with it. So to give it kind of a simpler view of these finishes, I created a view here called room finish schedule, which is basically just taking all of my room types and just showing me the finishes here. So we're gonna create an automation by clicking on automations here. And you can see I already have a couple set up for my ceiling finish, wall finish, and floor finish. We're going to finish this out by creating an automation for my base finish. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to title my automation. I'm going to say when base finish is updated, update Revit parameter. And then we could add a description to that as well. And the way that automations work is we need some type of trigger to trigger the automation, and then we'll take some type of action. So here I'm going to click on trigger, and I'm going to say when an element in a category is updated. And the category that I'm going to use is rooms. The field that we're going to watch is my base finish field coming from my room data sheet, basically. And so now anytime when an element in the rooms category is updated with the base finish, then we want to take some type of action. So I'm going to click here, and you can see that we've added this new action called update a Revit parameter. So when I click on this, basically this will allow me to select the Revit parameter that I want to update. And so this is coming directly from my model. And I'm going to choose base finish. And then we're going to choose basically the value that we want to set this parameter at. And what I'm going to choose is my base finish field. Now you can optionally, if you check this box, you can optionally basically queue up all those changes right away based on the values that are set. I'm going to turn this off because we're going to do it manually, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so we're going to create this automation now. And so once I create this automation, every time I change my base finish, it's going to update the associated rooms with that base finish information. So I'm going to go back to my room data sheet now. And I guess we'll go to our room finish schedule. And you can see that I don't have any values here in my base finish for classrooms. So let's just pretend like I want to edit all these values. So for every classroom, I want the base finish to be RB1. You can see clicking on the cells makes it super easy to edit this content. Say RB2. In the conference room, let's say it's RD1. And office, we'll do RB2. Okay, so I've updated all of these base finishes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle over to my model now just to show you what that looks like. So now I'm in my Revit model. You can see that this is the list of every single room, and here's my base finishes column. And we'll watch these values come in. You can see that it's relatively empty right now, that column. And so all I have to do is click on sync parameters. And what that does is it basically pulls in all of the changes that have been queued up from that automation. So if I accept all these changes, you can see that now it populates all of these rooms with their associated values. Now, if I go back to my room finish schedule and layer, I mean, we can update any of these at will. Say, okay, the floor finish in here needs to be CPT3, ceiling finish is ACT3, and maybe I need to update my wall finish to PT2. And we could do the same with a few of these edits. Since this automation is now running automatically anytime updates happen, anytime I make changes, it's just going to queue up those parameter changes to be brought back into my model. So here's all those changes. I can accept them, and you can see that now my room finish schedule is updated with that information. Again, what this does is it extends kind of the functionality of our Revit parameter updates by introducing the ability to create data or Revit parameters from multiple different triggers, whether it's at a scheduled time or when an element matches a filter. It gives us a lot more flexibility to do this, and hopefully follows kind of the logic of automations in general and where we're headed with this feature. So
yeah, right. It's pretty cool to see that automations is becoming kind of like one of the central places to, of course, to create like anything that needs to be automated. So it's pretty cool that it's gonna be like a library of places. Oh, sorry, a library of rules where you can kind of like copy items between categories, and you can do a lot of cool stuff. So I
Definitely.
think there are some things that we haven't even explored ourselves in terms of automation. So we're always happy to hear your, as we call them, the automation recipe. So yeah.
Yep. And one thing I forgot to mention too is that within automations, all of these, all of the parameter changes are stored in the activity tab. So you can see exactly what element it was updated on. You can also watch, like if I make a change here to like this RB1, if you come and click on models, just for those who may not know this, you can click on models and go to that models detail where you can see basically the running list of queued up parameters. So this is basically the list of all the changes that are queued up to be brought into your model. And so you can kind of review them here. You can remove them from the queue and edit them from there. So anyway, that's an important aside. Okay.
Sweet. Thanks for sharing that, Zach. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool because we're that actually improves the capability of understanding, because not everybody that's working in Layer is also working in Revit. So it bridges this gap of someone sending information from Layer into Revit and understanding what's actually going to be passed. So that actually improves this the interoperability aspect of Layer in Revit. So I was
Definitely.
I was personally very excited about that. Cool.
Let's go ahead. Sorry.
No, what do you want to say? I
I'm
was
gonna
just
say I saw a few of the questions that came in, so we can answer those quickly.
yeah, try to take a stab at them. So Laura was asking about BIM 360 issues into Layer. And I think like I can propose I mean I'm not exactly 100% sure how those look from the BIM 360 platform, but we have recently released the Revit model annotations, which personally, like, I think it's a pretty cool tool to, for people that don't want to use Revit, to actually annotate on the model. So feel free to explore that, and if you have any more questions, I'm more than happy to answer those. Then Olga was asking about when you showed Zach, when you showed the highlighting of the text on document view. She asked if this highlighted color can depend on a value, which I find it actually a pretty cool idea. And we have something like that with a select input field, where when you're creating a select input field, you can assign a color to each value. So personally, I see this as an extension of that feature, where basically, you can decide to show the color of that, you know desired color, the color of the select field that you have selected. If it's good, it's green. If it's bad, it's red, and so forth. So pretty cool idea. Thanks a lot for actually sharing that. Let's see.
and
Couple of,
I'll
yeah.
answer Paul had a question about can changes in the model be pushed back to Layer? And yes, when you publish your model back to Layer, those updated parameter values are brought into Layer. He also asked, how do you address exceptions in the finishes? So the example that I showed there is a good way to kind of like set up defaults for the different room types. All of those parameters are still editable within Revit, and when we bring in parameter changes into the model from Layer, you can check on and off those changes to either accept them or remove them or reject them. And so that's more like the workflow that we showed is more of a way to kind of like set your defaults, and then you can edit your schedule from there. Just so like you don't have to go through all 25 classrooms and typing the exact same thing. You can make that change in one fell swoop and then edit it from there. Another question I think that Olga had was that is there any limitation on what types of parameters in the model can be updated? And yes, currently the limitation is we cannot update type parameters. We can only update instance parameters. And so you can update instance parameters that are shared parameters or project parameters or default parameters. So all of those are compatible. Type parameters, however, you're not able to write back to your model. We are working on that, allowing for that functionality, but currently you're not able to do that.
Right, we're able to actually read those. So you're able to expose them, excuse me, from your Revit model onto your document view, should that be the case. So you can expose them within layer, it's just that you cannot write back to them. The other thing on top of that is that as a best practice, we always say that advise users to create a shared parameters list, because basically then the shared parameters list can be used in a Revit template, and a Revit template can also go hand in hand with a layer template. So because when you're creating a project template from layer, you can also transfer all your automations and so forth. So that's what we suggest as of today as the best practice, to kind of keep everything aligned and kind of minimize this that setup time in the beginning. So
Yep. Awesome.
We have one more question from Lillian. How about the share parameter? Are you able to? Yes. So I guess the answer is pretty straightforward. As I just mentioned, that the share parameters are basically the way to go.
Yep. And one thing to extend on what Olga asked about the highlighting stuff, and Georgios, what you mentioned too, is we do have a feature on our roadmap for conditional formatting that will allow you to set up basically conditional rules both in document view and table view and gallery view to basically show, graphically your data in a certain way based on some value. So that's a good idea with that we'll go ahead, and I think it would be possible with our future conditional formatting feature. All right.
Sweet. I think we're leaving over time. Yeah. So just want to say thanks to everybody that joined. Before we let you go, I just wanted to extend myself, and there is I'm having coffee right now, so it's always like a virtual coffee time. Feel free to book some time with us, with me actually, and to chat anything about layer, or if you have any questions about the upcoming items or the items that we just have released. You can see the Sylvia just dropped the link into the chat box. Yeah. Well,
cool.
More than happy to chat any further. Zach, thanks for sharing your knowledge with us.
Awesome. No, it was great to talk to you, and we're excited to share updates in the future, hopefully next month.
Sweet. That's good.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.